let's use the graph of a function to determine a given value, or to determine a value. We have a function here, and if you recall, a function is when we have every input, we have exactly one output, meaning it'll pass the vertical line test. So if you put vertical lines down, it's only going to hit our graph once. All right, so as we're looking at this question, we're going to answer the four questions on the side. They are not people. So the first one, f of 1. Now remember, in function notation, the item inside of the parentheses is the input. And generally it's the independent variable, and that is usually x. So we have our x-axis, we have our y-axis. So it's saying, when it says find f of 1, they're saying what is y when x equals 1? That's what this question is asking us. So if we go to find 1, okay, so here is where x is 1. What is the y value? Well, it's kind of hard to see, but if I go down to where that graph crosses x equals 1, it's about right here. So that will tell me that the y value is -1. So f of 1 equals -1. Great. Let's move on and try the next one, which is f of 5. So now we're saying if x is 5, what is y? Right? That's the question we're asking. So looking at x is 5. X is 5 right here. Well, you'll notice that's exactly where the graph is. So when when x is 5, y is 0. So we could say f of 5 equals 0. And we already know that f of 1 equals -1. All right, great. That's the first two. Now, moving on to the second half of this. If I'm looking at f of x equals 1, this is saying what is x when y equals 1? Okay, because the f of x together is like the output of the function. So the output is y. So what is x when y is 1? So we look at the y values. Here's y. What is x? Well, I have two things actually. So 1 is over here. So we could say f of -4 equals 1. And this one's a little tricky because it's like right here, which is not quite 1. We're going to estimate. We're going to say f of, not negative, f of 0.8. F of 0.8 equals 1. That's me estimating here, right? It's over halfway, not quite to 1, so we're going to go from there. All right, so let's go to the next one. The next one, I need a good color here. So if I'm talking about f of x equals -2, so what is x when y equals -2? So again, we find -2. Here's -2. What are the x values? Well, you can see it crosses the graph here, and it crosses the graph here. So f of, ooh, that's a little big. Let me change my size here. So we can see that f of -6 equals -2, and here, f of 2 equals -2. And that is how we use a graph to find different values.